Well, welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you. Tonight I'm making coconut macaroons, no sugar added, and this is a recipe I have adapted for use with Splenda. But you can, of course, use sugar. Here are the ingredients. Please pause, write them down, and hey, we love it when you give us a thumbs up and share our videos and subscribe. Let's get cooking. I'll talk a little bit about adapting to Splenda as we go along. I have here a pan of boiling water, and this bowl fits down into it without touching the bottom. This is sort of an improvised double boiler. And I have 4 large egg whites. I'm going to beat them till they're frothy. That's about a 1/4 teaspoonful of salt. That helps the eggs foam up and break down, by the way. So we're going to beat it until it's frothy, and we're only going to heat this up to about lukewarm. And then I'm going to add the Splenda. Now, it's important that you add the Splenda slowly. Splenda tastes just fine, tastes like sugar. It measures evenly with sugar, but it has some different properties. And I'm going to heat this up with the Splenda, much like you would a Swiss meringue. This makes them a little bit creamier, and you would do this even if you were using sugar, but you really do need to do it if you're using Splenda. So we're going to beat that in and incorporate the Splenda kind of slowly and keep stirring until the whole thing is warm to the touch. Not hot. We don't want to cook the eggs. We just want it to be nice and warm, and make sure that all the Splenda is dissolved. Now you have different properties with Splenda. For one, they're not going to brown the same. Lots of times Splenda desserts look a little bit different, but taste great. So this is warm. I'm going to set it off the water, and I'm adding a teaspoonful of pure vanilla extract. And I'm just going to do this right here on the stove because my counter is dark. It's nighttime here, and you can just see it better if I leave it on the stove. And then I'm going to slowly incorporate a 1/2 cup of flour. Diabetics, take note. This is a 1/2 cup flour for 2½ dozen cookies, but no sugar. So you're maintaining a pretty low carb count. Incorporate that in. So next is the coconut, and let's talk about coconut. Now see, this is the consistency of cake batter, and we're going to add the coconut. If you're using sugar, you can just go out and buy sweetened coconut, but we're not going to buy sweetened coconut. This takes 4 total cups of coconut. The first 3 cups are dried coconut flakes that I put in my food processor and beat up until they were tiny flakes, and I rehydrated them a little, meaning I just added some water into the food processor. And it takes about 5 cups of unsweetened dehydrated coconut chips to get this. Most coconut flakes you buy have sugar in them, and I just don't want that sugar. And this is 1 cup of the unrehydrated organic coconut chips, and I did use organic coconut for all of this, by the way. We're just going to incorporate that in. Now, as this sits, and it is going to chill for a couple hours before we actually make the macaroons, that unrehydrated coconut's going to soak up some of the liquid and give you the right texture. Now, go back. I added 2 tablespoons full of Splenda to the coconut that I rehydrated in the food processor. And you really want to do that the day before. Put it in your food processor, about 5 cups of the coconut chips, 2 tablespoons full of Splenda, cup of water, and let it sit at least a couple hours. I've tasted this. It's perfect. I'm going to chill it. And we're back. I have parchment paper on a cookie sheet, and I'm going to rub it with just a tiny little bit of oil. You probably don't really have to do that, but I just like the results better. these tend to stick and a little bit of the liquid will seep out as they cook. This is my little melon baller. You can use a tablespoon. A rounded tablespoon will give you about the same amount. And I'm just going to spread these out here on the parchment. And I'm going to leave them puffy and almost round. Not quite round, but almost round. And you want to give them a couple 3 inches between them. I've adjusted here a little bit because I think you need to see how I'm doing this. There's a little extra liquid in here and you want to press some of that liquid out. So I just fill the melon baller and then with a tablespoon press some of the excess liquid out. Some of it's going to seep out anyway. As I say, part of that is the difference in using Splenda and sugar. There's a different texture. The sugar would soak up more of the liquid. But we adapt because we don't want that sugar. And here's the first dozen. This makes 2.5 dozen. I'm just going to shape them up a little. Now we're going to bake these. My oven is preheated to 350. And we're going to bake these for about 20 minutes. Now, adaptation for Splenda. You may have to, in order to get browning, put these for about 3 minutes under the broiler after the 20 minutes. You don't have the browning qualities of sugar, so you'll have to adapt if you want them browned. So here we go. These have baked 20 minutes and then 3 minutes under the broiler just to get a little browning. And there's a little liquid that seeped out and it gets brown, and I'll trim that off with a pair of scissors. I'm going to let these cool on a wire rack for about an hour. They'll still be warm, and I like them warm, but you can refrigerate them. They'll be great tomorrow. Let's see what we got. Here we go, coconut macaroons without the sugar. These are chewy and creamy inside, and they're still warm, but they'll be great tomorrow after being refrigerated overnight. I just like to have one warm. Now, if you make these with sugar, you're going to have a little bit different color. See how creamy that is inside? You're going to get a little bit more golden browning, but you're not going to get any more flavor. This is wonderful. And for those among us who are diabetic or who are just looking to cut out sugar, this is a great alternative. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. Hope you try these, hope you like them, and hope to see you again tomorrow.